Here we are back at Heathrow Airport again. Today we're flying with British Airways Business Class, again on their club suites from here to Singapore, 14 hours. I've got high hopes, that's all I can say. So let's go get checked in and let's get onto the plane. But first things first, a visit to the British Airways Lounge was in order. This time I went to the North Lounge and I'm glad to report that it's also absolutely fantastic. It's smaller than the South Lounge, but the food selection is great and the quality of the food is really amazing. You also have seats everywhere, including with views of the apron and a really expansive alcohol selection. I have to marvel every time I see this, and there's about 4 of these in each of the lounges at least, so you're never going to run out of drinks. There's also showers and a playroom for kids, but it was time for us to get on the plane and I was very excited for this experience. Now, last time I flew British Airways Club Suites, I did have a couple of hiccups, but this time I was hoping for a perfect flight and I was reminded instantly of the feeling of having so much space. That's the one thing I have to say about this. I was not expecting it, but after flying this product the first time, I was absolutely converted, and this is one of the best business classes out there. And if you get one of these front bulkhead seats, then you have even more legroom. Before this product was launched, the Club Suites, I actually never considered flying with British Airways in business class because they were renowned for not having such a great one. But with the launch of this product, I felt that they were a real contender for one of the best business class seats in the air. Even though it took me a few years, I was really happy to finally be on this plane. Here you can see you have an over-shoulder strap and lots of space around you to put things on. There's lots of storage, which I'll show you later, and it just feels very private. I was glad to be leaving rainy Europe behind and moving on to warmer climes, namely Thailand and Vietnam. And pretty soon we were in the air. And what a view of London. Now welcome to British Airways Club Suites. This is their premium product, the best of their business classes, and as you can see there's a door that closes, giving you utmost privacy, and the reclining chair becomes a fully lie-flat bed, but I chose a half reclining position to enjoy my champagne as we reach cruising altitude. The next exceptional part about this seat is the amount of storage that there is, and very useful storage. Perfectly sized for all the things at least that I had with me. Next it was time to bust out the menu and start choosing from the very large list of delicious food and drinks that they offer. I went for the British roast beef carpaccio and the kung pao chicken. Feel free to pause the video if you want to see what else was on offer. I was very excited with my choice. And of course, the first thing that came out before I started my dinner was some champagne and some nuts. And very soon my starter came and it looked absolutely incredible. This is the British roast beef carpaccio. It comes with a creamy root vegetable salad, mustard dressing, and chimichurri vinaigrette. Absolutely spectacular. If there was anything I had to add, is that the bread was perhaps not as soft as it could have been, but one major improvement over the last flight that I flew on was that the cutlery was clean and no funny stains and bits of hardened food. If you want to check that out, check out my other video. But this time everything was great. This British roast beef was absolutely spectacular. This was like restaurant worthy, and I was super happy with this starter. And next it was time for my main course, the kung pao chicken. So I set up a movie, got my chili out, and then took a moment to look at this delicious melange of chicken, rice, and spices. And speaking of spices, I had my hot pot chilies travel spice that I always carry with me. This is basically some ultra spicy chili, making all meals on planes delicious for the last few years. Another big advantage of these suite type seats with closing doors is that you do feel absolutely private. You feel like you're the only person on the plane, and that is a great feeling. This feeling is even more if you have a bulkhead seat because you cannot see any people in front of you. And now moving on to the Amenity Kit, the absolute highlight is the sleep mask. The Amenity Kit is made by the White Company. You do have some nice hand lotions and other things, but I was interested in sleeping and that sleep mask was going to come in handy just now. Now, one of the biggest advantages of flying business class is arriving fully rested after sleeping horizontally on a bed. And this is no difference on this plane. In fact, this is a very generously sized bed. And after making the bed myself, some airlines do it for you. I was very happy with this. It was wide, it was comfortable, and here we can have a nice look at the big pillow absolutely fantastic. I slept a solid 7 hours on the way there, and on the previous flight I slept about 8 hours. Probably the best sleep I've ever had on this kind of seat. We can't compare it to first class, of course, but this is one of the best business class seats that you will get. And of course, you can tuck yourself in, watch a movie, and put on that absolutely amazing sleep mask that you get. So big, so comfortable. I use it all the time. And soon it was time for me to go to sleep and wake up rested and ready to eat again. Now, despite what you might think, that is not a glass of whiskey, that is apple juice to have with my very delicious blueberry pancakes. This is one of the two choices that you get. I'd had the full English breakfast last time and I wanted to try out this sweet one, and it also was absolutely fantastic. Delicious, and what a thing to eat while looking out of the window and enjoying some of the most amazing and breathtaking views. And here you can see a sea of clouds as we come into slightly grey Singapore, but this was not my final stop. I was off to Thailand. And here we are in Singapore. Made it quite comfortably, and I have to say this is one hell of a route to go with them, with British Airways. Fantastic, everything is great, food is great, staff, Raffaele, amazing flight attendant, and absolutely impressed. Slept reasonably well, not as well as the first flight, probably because I wasn't as tired, and yeah, everything's comfortable. The movie was great. I would never hesitate to fly with this flight specifically. I wouldn't take the old business class flights with BA, but this one for sure.